Hello friends and sunflowers, my name is Elena and welcome back to my channel. This video is really late. Anyways, we are going to be going over chapter 3 of the webtoons today, which is very exciting for all of us. Chapter 4 is out. We're not reading it here until later, and hopefully that video will be out shortly after this one. Basically, if you are new to this, I'm going chapter by chapter. I'm not reading ahead. I know you can read ahead. I am not, so just keep that in mind. If you can, tag your spoilers if you're commenting a spoiler down below, or just don't comment the spoiler. If you haven't read chapter 3, spoilers ahead. Let's start with Chakho, same as always. Same as last time, the web novel starts a little bit further behind, like it's like a chapter behind for some reason, than the webtoon, so let's start with the web novel. So basically it starts with Zeha having a conversation, of course, with Haru, who's like, you opened the seal, and then it goes into him remembering the encounter that he had like a month ago with that bomb who like magicked him, influenced him into remembering and opening the seal with the bomb. I kind of hope that dude actually, like, that bomb shows up again, because I'm kind of picturing him as like a final boss. Is that weird? It's like not a final boss, but maybe just a boss, because like he was the one, he is like a very personal connection to Zeha, so it's like, oh, Zeha has like a goal to like go, not like revenge necessarily, but like to get back at that guy. I also kind of like how the novel kind of explains the magic a little bit more. Like, this bomb is just suggesting things to Zeha, and Zeha's like, because of the suggestion, he's remembering these things, or it's almost like he's like remembering it nicely, and it's like he doesn't even actively remember these memories, but because it's in his head, and this guy is using his suggesting magic to him, he remembers it in that moment. But I don't know if he actively really remembers it, which is kind of like, you know, he remembers later, he's like, wait, what? But I don't know, I think that's just like a really scary idea, that someone can just suggest something and you'll just do it because it was a suggestion. Like, that's wild. Like, they will just make you think that, yeah, that was my idea, I wanted to do that. But like, you didn't. Can all bomb do this? Because it hasn't come up, well, I guess there's only one other chapter in the webtoon, but like, I haven't seen it mentioned again, so it's just like, is he just more powerful? Can all bomb do this? Like, you know, maybe it's because he's the boss. I don't know. Is our boss battle. And the webtoon ends with Haru being like, let's fight against the bomb, which we know is what happens, obviously. And this conveniently also leads us into the webtoon chapter. My hair is a disaster, so let's just tie this up here. So in the webtoon, they're like, hey, these bomb are a problem. We're gonna give you the equivalent of 40,000 US dollars for a head of a Chakho, so we want people to hunt them down, which is a very violent way to, like, you know, deal with this problem, but we're not gonna worry about that. It's funny, because the reaction of the people in the story are like, oh my god, $40,000? That's not enough. Only people who are desperate would go for that. And I was thinking, like, wow, $40,000 for just, like, one head? That's a lot. So I don't know what that says about me, but... Anyways, we see Zeha be, like, kind of cool for, you know, 0.2 seconds before he gets beaten up, basically, by these bomb. But he looked really cool for, like, a second, and he was trying to hold his ground, which, of course, this leads into the introduction of the tiger butterfly hunting group. They clearly already know what they're doing, which I find is really weird, because didn't they just announce, like, hey, can you hunt these bomb? Like, how do you know what you're doing? Not only that, but the weapon they used was, like, weird, and they're like, oh, that's not normal. Like, where are they getting this? Is this a conspiracy? Is this actually, like, the government? Like, is this, I forget his name. The guy who made the announcement, was this his idea? And he's, like, paying people who are skilled, or, like, he paid skilled people. Because obviously they didn't know that the bomb were going to be released. But who's giving them this technology? You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously the tiger butterflies are gonna be like a major, like, a rival for Chakho's team, and I hate them already. But they just give me, like, really weird, suspicious vibes. Like, why are they so good and so competent? were they already hitmen before they decided to start hunting Chakho? Like, what? I don't know. I think there's a conspiracy theory there. The city's funding them extra or something. Giving them weapons. There was a bird that just flew by my window. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. That's just a theory. A webtoon theory. Side note, I cannot believe that Haru just, like, watched Zeha get beat up, and he's like, oh, I wanted to see how good you were. Excuse me? You said that you could have taken on several bomb by yourself, and you're like, yeah, just, you know, was watching you get beat up. I love him. Although, Zeha does bring up something that is an important question, like, how come if he's apparently half bomb, why is he not as fast as other bomb? I know we mentioned before, like, oh, he didn't die as easily. Maybe he can, like, take more hits. But for whatever reason, like, he doesn't have, like, the reflexes and stuff. So I think that's a very valid question for him to ask. Like, he clearly has shaman abilities. He was able to open the seal. So how come he doesn't have bomb abilities? Like, did he just, like, not inherit that? Or maybe it's, like, sealed or something. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, like, sealed behind some sort of something. That sounds like something that would happen. Like, it could show up in certain situations. It doesn't seem to be, like, danger as a trigger for it, because he's been in, like, near-death danger several times, and it's not really, like, shown up for that. So I don't know, maybe it's just because he needs to be trained. And then once he's trained to, like, I don't know, maybe Haru can help him. And we know he gets, like, a sword later, so maybe it has something to do with the sword. I don't know, because, like, their eyes do the glowy thing like Haru's eyes in the intro, so I can only think they must unlock something. It has something to do with the fact that they're the 7 fates, or whatever. Oh, also, speaking of the 7 fates, we meet another of the 7 fates, finally. I'm so excited. We meet Dogon, and, you know, he's yelling because the bomb just killed his very good friends. They're like, you're the person who killed my very good friends? And I was like, okay. I love that they specified. They're like, this is my very good friend. As he's holding, like, just so we're clear, it's not his girlfriend. They're his very good friends. I just found that really funny. But yeah, I'm really excited. I love his character design so much. And he has, like, a gun or something? I don't know. As a weapon. It's like a long-range weapon. So, yes. Oh, and as expected, that does show us that, yeah, we're going to be witnessing the drama of each of these characters as they happen to, like, form this group. So I feel bad saying this, but I am excited for that because I don't, like, they haven't really told us, like, what happened to each person prior to this, like, in the, like, trailers and stuff. So yeah, I do want to know, like, what happens that caused them to want to join this. It's exciting to see that, like, these things are moving forward as quickly as they are, and I can't wait to meet all the characters. I especially am excited to meet, I think Joan, V's character, because I want to see, like, what happens that he falls in love with a bomb, because this is not, like, a long-term thing. Like, this is really recent within the context of the story, because, like, in Zeha's point of view, he released the seal, like, a month ago, and then now he's hunting bomb. What is it that happens that causes, like, a bomb to not kill someone on sight and instead give them the chance to fall in love with them? You know what I mean? So it's just really interesting. I'm really excited. Let's read some comments. Okay, someone says, I think the reason Zeha didn't die is because he's half bomb. Maybe his attacker forgot that detail, but he does mention his parents, so that's highly unlikely. Maybe half bombs are stronger than full-blooded bombs, or since his mother was a shaman like Haru, he has more powers. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've only seen, like, scratched the surface on what we've seen from the shaman power. Like, we know it can open the seal, but what else can, like, they do? I do wonder if maybe because it's a shaman and a bomb, his powers, like, canceled out or something. Is that weird? I just thought of that now, and I'm like, oh, can you imagine? That would be like, that sucks. But yeah, that's really interesting. Like, could he, because he's half bomb, be stronger than bomb? Yeah, let me know what you think. Let's move on to Dark Moon. I don't actually know where to start with Dark Moon because the two different stories are, like, super different. So I guess we were starting with the web novel before, so let's start with Webtoon for this one. We start off at the same place that we left off at the end of the last chapter. There's no time skip or anything, and that is, of course, Solon being a jerk. So basically, poor Suha, she's like, oh my god, it's happening again, they're gonna hate me, I'm gonna become an outsider, they're all just gonna, you know. But then we see that they're like, oh my god, like, are you Suha? And she's like, what? And he's like, I want to be your friend. Let's go on a tour. Oh my god, this is great. Ignore that guy. He's really, like, grumpy. And she's like, what? I will say I was really surprised. Well, I wasn't surprised, but Jan was like, yeah, he was the one who's like, ignore Solon, like, whatever. But, like, when we did the theory with Drunk Dazed, it was like the three on the side. Jan was on the side where he would not approve of being friends with humans. So I don't know if that theory completely holds water anymore, but we'll see. Maybe, you know, things can change. He can always grow to hate. Like, that party hasn't happened yet, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think Drunk Dazed is still, like, in the future of this story. So there's always time for him to change his mind. So I don't think it's, like, completely, like, debunked, but we definitely have to be, like, a little skeptical about what we're seeing. Anyways, we get a nice little tour around campus. We get to see the library. I want to be in that library so bad. We also get confirmation that the boys did grow up in an orphanage, so Give and Taken was probably showing the orphanage, and like any of those flashback scenes that were in Drunk Dazed also probably show that orphanage, implying that they're all brothers. Because, you know, vampire brothers in an orphanage, which means that they were probably hiding the fact that they were vampires in the orphanage, and the orphanage checks to see if you're vampires. Just putting some context into Give and Taken, if that makes sense. Also, Suha is really not gonna let Helly forget about that book. Like, that book must be really important. Because she brings it up again, and he's again like, oh, yeah, I'll let you read it, or else I'll tell you about it afterwards. So it's like, I have a feeling it's going to be like a major plot point. Does the book have some kind of secret? I don't know. I'm really curious. Is it like a spell? Is it like their history? I don't know, but it is definitely related to them as vampires somehow, probably. Also, we almost get properly introduced to Nightball, which was fun, except then they try to like take out Suha by accident. And I just love that everyone just like jumps to her defense here. They're like, no, and like they all go to like defend her, and of course Jan coming through with his like extra strength that he's got and completely like decimates that ball, which I don't even know if Suhan noticed, because if she did, I feel like she would have been a little suspicious, because I don't know very many people who can like pop a ball by stopping it like that badly. So yeah, and we as readers get to meet, of course, the other two brothers. I don't again think Suha didn't really meet them because she was too busy having like that obligatory romantic moment between her and Helly. But it's okay. I'm just a little bit sad she didn't meet them, but there's still time, you know. So she just is like, okay, I'm gonna go now, bye, because she's all embarrassed. And of course, as she's at her room, because they all know where her dorm room is, because that's where they used to hang out, Solon is like, do you even know my name? Out of all questions he chose to ask, like, do you even know my name? Like, first of all, they mentioned your name a couple of times, but like, what a weird question to ask someone who you've just met. Does he expect her to know who she is? Like, I know the dreams are a thing in the web novel, but are they a thing in the webtoon as well? And so he was like, kind of like, maybe she actually knows who I am. Like, she looks familiar. I don't know. They did say his name to her before. They're like, ignore Solon. He's being weird. But I don't know, it's just like a weird question. Like, is there another reason that he specifically asked about his name? That's why I'm like, oh, is it because of dreams? Or is he just like insulting her because she's a human? He's like, do you even know my name? I'm kind of like, big news here. I don't know. I assume the next chapter will start directly from that moment again. So I'm excited for that. There's a horn. Hello? Swapping to the web novel now. It starts off on a similar point of tension. Suha finds out that the guy who attacked her was a vampire. Again. And then Helly's like, oh my god, you're not hurt, right? And she's like, no, I'm fine. Can't tell him that she's super strong or whatever. And then we kind of like get told a little bit of backstory, like how, because there's vampires, there's also its opposite, werewolves. And Suha, for some reason, is just like, wait, are you joking? Like, she doesn't seem like she believes him, or if she's wondering if she even should believe him, which I find really odd. Conveniently, though, we run into two werewolves right away, almost. And that is Khan and Najak? I think that's how you say that. Which I'm guessing are probably Kate and Nicholas, assuming they're going with like the first letter, you know. So they're from An Team. They're two of the confirmed members, and we don't know the name of any of the other members right now, but I'm sure we will. Anyways, we get to see the tension between the vampires and the werewolves. They're parallel opposites, you know. And for some reason, when Khan sees Suha, he looks at her and he's like, let's go. And it's not because, like, she's an observer, because it says, like, there are other people reacting around them. It's specifically when he sees her. So I wonder if they're getting dreams about her, too. And I mean, she is supposed to be their hyphen, I assume. So, just wanted to say that. Anyways, Jan is very put off. He's super angry, and in his anger, he's like, don't they know we're different from other vampires? And literally just, like, tears the band-aid right off there. It's just like, everyone's like, no, why would you say that? First of all, why would you say that in the first place? You have observers. Like, use your telepathic abilities, at least, if you're going to complain about that openly. Also, that happened way faster than I thought it was going to happen. Suha makes no, like, she's, like, barely even reacts to it. She's like, okay, let's go get some ice cream. Again, this Suha is, like, different from the WEBTOON Suha, who I think would probably have a more negative reaction to it. But yeah, they just go and, you know, talk about it, and they kind of inadvertently confirm that An Team is going to have 7 members, because they're like, yeah, just the 7 Nightball players are werewolves, and the 7 main players for here are vampires. So An Team has 7 members confirmed. Thanks, HYBE. So I'm excited for that. And then Suha just takes it, like, super well, you know. She doesn't have that same backstory, so I guess that's why. Like, sure, she's not wanting to be, like, she wants to be normal. She doesn't want to stand out. She doesn't even have that same, like, vampire association that WEBTOON Suha has. Also, side note about Nightball. Like, it says the 7 main players are all vampires and all werewolves on the opposing teams. Do they just not let anyone who's not a vampire or a werewolf be the main player? Like, do you know how frustrating that would be if you were a normal student who doesn't even know about these things? It's like, how come it's always these 7 people and never anyone else? What happens when they age out? Like, is just gonna half the team be vampires? Is it a requirement? Like, I know there's other people on the team because they said the main players. I just want to know how this works. Can you just never get a main position if you're not supernaturally inclined? If I went to this school, I would be so miffed. Especially if I wanted to, like, get on that sports team. Like, I want to play Nightball, and it's rigged. Not even giving a chance to the other people. Anyway, back to the story. There's weird vibes going on with Suha, because she's like, she doesn't seem upset that he's a vampire, that Helly's a vampire, but she does seem like she doesn't want to be associated with them, not because they're vampires, but because it makes them different. Like, being different is bad, and then it goes into, like, a blessed cursed reference, right? Where, like, Suha thinks being gifted with her strength is a curse, and Helly's like, oh my god, no, it's a blessing. And she's like, you're wrong, and runs away from him. I just found that it was really weird. I'm getting the impression that she just wants to be totally normal and absolutely is rejecting anything that is different, and it's giving me, like, Aunt Petunia, Uncle Vernon vibes from Harry Potter, where they're just like, there's no such thing as magic! But, like, there clearly is, and they know it. Because she wasn't even, like, listening to him about that at all, and she's just, like, changed the subject about his phone again, which he already has a new phone, so it's like, clearly he was fine. It's like he stands out too much for her, and she's kind of like, oh my god, you're perfect and wonderful, and I can't compare. So she's definitely got, like, self-esteem issues, so I kind of hope they tie that into it a little bit more, like the self-esteem part. But I do wonder, like, why is the whole being normal the problem? Like, he's a vampire.
She needs to sort out her priorities.
Okay, anyway, the chapter ends really strangely. She's, like, in a dream, and she's dreaming. This is, like, a common thing that happens to her. They kind of referenced before, and she's like, ah, yes, like, I guess these aren't ghosts that I'm seeing, they're vampires. And she decides to go wandering a little bit, and she comes across the boys, are, like, the main characters, and they're around, like, this body who may or may not be dead. I'm not sure. It was kind of vague. I couldn't understand, like, is this person dead, or they just passed out, or, like, it says they might have died. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Were you drinking blood and you drank too much? Like, I don't understand exactly what's happening there. But it is supposed to be, like, she's not, like, she's kind of just, like, la la la, floating along because she's in a dream, or she thinks she's dreaming. And I say she thinks she's dreaming because Helly notices her in, like, the fog. He pulls her out, so it's like she was just there. sleepwalking or something. I don't know, but the fog clearly has something to do with her, because he like looks into the fog specifically and pulls her out, and I think the fog has something to do with her, like maybe she conjures fog or something like that. I don't know, but the whole fact that it was like happening in a dream is probably important, in what she thinks is a dream anyway, is probably important to the story, and like maybe it ties into the little princess thing too. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't have any additional theories for that. I'm just a little confused. Let's read some comments about the dark moon. I was struck by the way of writing Suha, her name. The Korean name would be Sua, water. Suha is another way of calling a star Ulker of the Big Dipper. I can't read, I'm sorry. It means the forgotten star or the lost star. Since it's only visible to an attentive observer, Suha or Soha is an Arabic female given name that literally means a certain star of a constellation that is transparent, hidden, or not easily seen. It keeps a lot of correlation with its fog capabilities, which we just saw. So maybe Suha is what unites the universes. It's basically saying that like the fog might be related to what we see in the other universes. Could be. I do wonder about that. Because previously I kind of think that the fog has to do with the cat and like the actual Bom. But I'm not sure. Like the cat is related to the Bom, or like is a similar species as the Bom or something like that. That was like a theory of mine. But if that's the case, does that mean that she's actually like something similar to Bom? If she has fog capabilities? I don't know what that means. The fog is really confusing to me. So I think Kelly's book is some kind of diary or journal that he's writing himself in order to hold on to lost memories. I love this. Like, wow, like imagine that is like he is writing that book and he's been writing it for a long time. The only thing that makes me question this is that we don't know how old they are. I think it's kind of implied that they appeared recently, like after she was born. So like that doesn't explain why the book is so old. But also, I just really like this idea. I actually believe the theory of Sung-un being a half vampire, half werewolf, or human, and I think maybe they're going to use him as a second lead, because you know there's always one bad guy who acts like he doesn't care but ends up liking the main lead. He definitely could be a second lead. I could see that, especially with the webtoon, like how he's confronting her. Like it's in the same area that we've only seen Helly with her at the same time, you know? So it's like, yeah, he could be a second lead. He could take an interest in her, and I like that whole like hatred to liking storyline. I find those particularly interesting to read, so that would be exciting. I think Solon is half human, half vampire, and somehow being controlled by the vampires. And then someone replied, wow, as you mentioned this control thing, I remember the Fever music video where Noah sort of hypnotized Solon, and it seems like Helly will be the one who frees him as we saw Solon's heart beating. So maybe he is indeed half human. Another interesting theory going the other way instead of werewolf human. I think that fits in really well. Again, I don't know if it's like human or werewolf, but I do like the idea that like Solon is being hypnotized and then he gets freed by Helly. So the second chapter for Dark Moon tells me that the boys kind of hate their own kind. Like Solon and Yan telling everyone not to fall for Suha because it will bring trouble to her, not them. Helly's face also showed some kind of shame and guilt after they mentioned that. I guess just like Suha feeling ashamed and has to hide her powers, they too do that in fear of hurting others. That's really nice. Like, that could be like, hey, like, don't befriend her because we're just gonna cause trouble to her, etc., etc. I like that. I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Let's move on to the StarSeekers, and it's gonna be at nighttime because I have to go to work right now. Hello, welcome back. It's been like a second for you and a whole day for me. Anyways, let's talk about the StarSeekers now. Let's of course start with the web novel, which I believe is behind, although other people have commented that they think that they're slightly different stories, so I don't know what's going on there. But so in the web novel, Sol wakes up in like a gray city, devastated, and he like is walking around and he ends up finding the stadium. So this really makes me think of Eternally, like the music video. We see the same sort of flashback that music video starts off with. It is a little bit different. I'm not sure, maybe it's just like he has this dream pretty frequently, and so this isn't like that exact point in time, and like this is before the Eternally music video or something maybe. Or maybe it's just referencing the Eternally music video, the like order is a little different. Not sure on that. He makes a note, like an observation note that I found particularly interesting in the text. Here laid a place that had broken away from the rest of the world, and that was how he felt about this place. Like it had fallen away from the rest of the world. What an interesting way to say that. I don't know why, but it just feels like that's a significant observation, you know what I mean? That just seems like it's an interesting way to describe it, so I think like that might have significance. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a cool way to describe something, but I can't help but feel like that the idea of something breaking away from the rest of the world and becoming like a broken landscape is just a really interesting thought that I could see them doing something with. Subin then sees what he describes as an enormous eye. He's interestingly doesn't describe the colors of the eye, so I don't know if he's looking into the blue eye or the green eye, but you know, he does, that is the cat, and he does seem to instinctually know like that it was coming first of all, and then he should also be like avoiding it. Like I said, obviously before they even tell us that this is the cat. And also apparently here it's also a giant cat, which is just like in the Neff of the Star music video. So that's exciting. I like it being a giant cat. I don't know if there's like a giant cat that's in this universe and then a not giant cat that's in the BTS universe, but something's going on there. It basically asks him what his wish is, and the first thing he does is he thinks, oh, magic obviously is my wish, but then he just runs away. Like I don't think he verbalizes it, although I don't know if the cat needs him to verbalize it or not. And then they also we know that they get magic, so I'm not sure if the cat granted them that ability or what, because like they still have the whole history thing in the D&D characters, so if that was the cat who granted that wish, it seems a little bit weird. But the cat is like not letting him leave, like it is really wanting him to make this contract with it, and I think it's because Subin is like one of the how did they say it, like the boys of legend or something. Anyway, I think like there's a lot of power there, and so the cat making a contract with someone who has like a big destiny is like a good thing for the cat, but it definitely feels like it's a malevolent spirit at this point in time. It literally bullies him into trying to make a contract with them. It's even like annoyed that he's not answering. Anyway, I just love that both like Yeonjun and now Subin, Eugene and Sol have both been seen running away from the cat in different forms of media, and I just find that entertaining. Anyways, a pale mint light that is apparently quite warm appears and saves him. This is obviously Moa. She's always been kind of like a pale color whenever we've seen her, so that's pretty consistent. I'm like really confident in these two identifications right now. And then Moa again gives him a 20-sided die, which is where like the major difference lies. In the Eternally music video, they have the whole like everything went off and went all crazy and they all do different things, and then Subin comes back with the die. In this one, this is all part of the same dream, and I don't think he has the die with him yet. So I think it's just that he knows he's going to get the die in the future, maybe? I don't know, just a guess. Anyway, he wakes up again in the practice room, and everyone's like, oh my god, more nightmares. Oh no, we should look this up. Dream dictionary. Being tased by a cat apparently means like there's going to be a terrible car accident. Very specific, which I find humorous because we see them get into a car accident in the last chapter of the webtoon. Again, assuming the webtoon is in the future. But then also, apparently having a cat chase after you means a betrayal will happen. A betrayal, you say? I mean, I doubt that they just threw that in there, because I mean we have a couple different people who could betray it. Bongyu is a huge contender because he questions other people's motives, and so he wonders who's on whose side. That kind of thing. Hyuka comes to mind. He's so innocent that I feel like he might accidentally do something. Even Eugene, I feel like he could have the potential to, not on purpose necessarily, betray someone, but, you know, the cat is there, and, well, we know that the cat apparently likes to bully people into making contracts with it, so Also, I'm sorry, I keep switching between their real names and the names in the webtoons. I'm just so not used to it. If I used the wrong name that wasn't the webtoon name, which I know I did just now, just ignore that. They're interchangeable in my head, and my brain immediately goes, yes, let's call them TXT's names and not the story names. I don't even know, like, if I'm talking about the music video, can I say that it's Subin? Anyways, it also goes on to mention that the practice room place that they're in is haunted, and then it talks a little bit about the, like, ghost and stuff like that that we've seen before, which again is Moa, and Eugene even is like, oh wait, yeah, it's a pale mint light. And Subin's like, a pale mint light, is it warm? And he's like, I don't know. But I think it's interesting that, I guess it makes sense that Eugene is also the one who's seen the ghost, because in Magic Island, the music video, he's one of the ones who hears the bells in the distance, and he, like, looks up, and then Subin is the one who obviously sees and hears the bells later on. But I would have thought that Kai maybe might see it, because he's, like, the only other one that we know had seen the ghost up till this point, although that, again, probably in the future, so maybe it's just, like, he hasn't seen it yet. I don't know. He was chasing it in Eternally. Anyway, I think that's the most important information from this chapter. It wraps up that whole dream segment, so I'm not entirely sure what's going to be coming next. Maybe a car accident. I don't know. Again, some people have commented and said it's slightly different, so it's up in the air, I guess. Moving on to the webtoon. After almost dying last time, I assumed that Abbas was going to be the one to probably get powers, and he does, and he gets the ability to summon things. Somehow that's not surprising, but at the same time I was like, whoa, he summoned birds? Yes, that's literally his ability. Anyways, they are super powerful, apparently. Very good, strong birds. And it almost feels like they didn't quite notice that it was him who did it, but he's the one who's like, wait, did I do that? And it was all some big test. DK, what are you doing? You know? However, apparently they say, like, oh, Avis has water magic, so maybe he does notice. I don't know. Avis has water magic. If you've been trying to use fire magic, well, you couldn't because you actually have water magic. Which, you know, it makes sense, but that also just confuses me, because, like, do they specialize only in certain magic types? However, the fact that Avis is good at water magic specifically, it does kind of add into my theory that water magic is related to time. Rewinding stuffs. Because, again, time flows, so water. I don't know. Oh, also, like, bodies in general are a large percentage of just water. So I guess summoning and water makes sense. Like, it's the one that makes the most sense to match with the ability to summon things. Especially because, like, obviously the birds that Avis summons here are mostly water. Also, just DK is wild. Like, he's clearly one of the aunties. And yet they almost seem like they're trying to, like, come to, like, trust. Or Avis, at least, is like, hey, we should do the thing that he's saying. Because, I mean, he did just manifest magic. Why would you trust someone who just did that? Like, he says, oh, of course they wouldn't have died on my watch. I was just wanting to see what you could do. And I don't believe that. Avis, I'm sorry, but you are so innocent. Like, way too innocent. Like, he is not necessarily looking out for your well-being right now. Also, DK mentions that you have to be desperate in order to manifest magic, which, I mean, I kind of understand, like, oh, that could be a factor in manifesting magic. Are you telling me, like, all of those other groups were just desperate enough that they got magic? I don't know. And then also, like, they were desperately practicing so hard for, like, these, like, events, and you're telling me that was not desperate enough to make magic? Like, it had to be life and death desperate? Like, again, though, maybe this is because they're the boys of legend, so, like, their magic needs to manifest in those parts. That's what I'm kind of guessing. I'm interested in seeing where that's going. And I kind of want to know a little bit more about powers in general, so hopefully, I think that that's kind of where we're going. DK does say that they have stronger powers than normal because people need them, which is really nice to like hear. It's like, yeah, you know? But also, why does he know that? Like, do the antis want the boys of legend on their side? Is that what's going on here? They're trying to like get them to do what they want them to do? I don't know. It's just a little suspicious because he seems to be like kind of helping them, but also kind of trying to kill them. Anyways, DK then is like, you guys need to go train on Magic Island. And I was literally, my eyes popped. I was like, I'm sorry, we're going to Magic Island? And then they were just so nonchalant. They're like, oh, Magic Island. I literally was having a heart attack reading it. And they're just like, oh yeah, okay, Magic Island. And he's like, this is where all the magic is strongest. And I'm like, hello, Magic Island on Tucson? Confirmed, by the way. I mean, we already knew this. We knew this for a really long time, but confirmed Magic Island's on Tucson. Go us! It kind of looks like they're nonchalant about Magic Island because it's the theme park there. Like, maybe the theme park is called Magic Island. Because, like, it does have, like, a very prominent Ferris wheel, which we do know is on Magic Island in, like, Blue Hour, for example. If Magic Island is a theme park, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. It's just like a magical theme park. I don't know, because there's never been any people there, and the whole train thing. I'm very confused, and I feel like there's gonna be something, like they think it's one thing, but it's something else. I don't know, I think the boys might be thinking the wrong thing here, and DK is meaning our Magic Island. Oh my god, DK might really be on our side. I also want to see our Magic Island. Also, DK can teleport them? Hello? Like, is that just like a really strong form of like telekinesis magic? In which case, like, that sounds dangerous, especially if he's like an enemy. And also, they fall out of the sky, which I just felt was important to mention because it made me think of the Magic Island music video again. So anyway, my predictions for this are that they think it's one thing, or they like assume that Magic Island is this one thing, and because DK is like, oh, the magic is stronger there, maybe it's something else, or maybe Magic Island, like that location on Tucson, is where like magic originated or something like that. Because I'm still just waiting for it to tie into all the other races and stuff like that. But if they go to Magic Island, and Magic Island, like the Tucson location is tied to our Magic Island, and our Magic Island is tied to the place where they're from, like the lore or whatever. I'm just waiting for it to tie into that D&D stuff, and I feel like there's going to be like a huge twist that goes on, and let's read your comments. Did anyone remember the magic of Tier 1 idol group in episode 1? The idol group was considered number 1. Their magic is ice. Just a theory, maybe they become jealous of Star 1 after they manifest their magic since they became a top group, and that's why they were recruited by the enemy to go against them, like we see in Chaos Chapter. I assume you mean the like concept trailer for Chaos Chapter, and that's a really interesting idea. Like the other groups will eventually become jealous of Star 1 and turn on them. The only thing is, like, isn't magic supposed to be like relatively mundane? Like, can that ice actually hurt someone? In the concept trailer, it definitely looks deadly, but I want to know, like, do they just get more powerful as time goes on? Does something happen to make magic more powerful? Because I could actually see that happening. And I bet you it's tied to their memories and something like that. Oh, I'm really excited. I've read a theory on Twitter which dived a little bit more into D&D. Apparently there are good and bad dragons in D&D. The good ones are metallic, and the bad ones are chromatic. So chromatic dragons can be red or purple, which makes sense because the evil dragons in Doom's Night and the pop-up books have these colors. That is true. Metallic dragons, however, are good and turn into humans secretly to help them out. There seems to be one popular kind of dragon of that kind called Elia in human form, who takes on the look of a silver-haired girl. Interesting. My first thought is Moa, and my second, weirdly, was DK. I don't think he's on their side, but I was like, human. As I saw in Avis's flashback, though, I couldn't help but thinking of that, as Avis related to the tribe of good dragons. Also, in the StarSeekers logo, the S looks like a silver dragon, and then Avis's wings. I mean, it's just a theory, but I don't know. I find that really interesting. I didn't know about the 2 different types of dragons before. If someone finds that theory on Twitter, if you could send that to me, that'd be great, so I could just, like, read the whole theory. But yeah, I'll have to look more into the, like, metallic and chromatic dragons, because I think that has a lot of merit to it. There seems to be a lot of evidence, and they do have a lot of things based off of D&D, so exciting. As it relates to Black Water, in the Doom's Night, exactly after their performance as the dragon is about to attack them, there is a black-colored liquid dripping on them, and maybe that is black water, since it seems to be dripping directly from the dragon as well as the sky. When I read this, my mind was, like, blown. I was so surprised. I was like, wait a minute. I gasped when I read it. That is such a good point. What if the black drops are black water and it, like, corrupts magic? And, like, if you remember, people who have magic are immune to the effects of the black water, like, explosions and stuff like that. But what happens if you come into direct contact with black water? Black water is so interesting. I want to know more about it. Please tell me more about it. Oh, this was related. Siren. This is related to, I said, oh, this is Tata, and it made me think of BT21, but someone's like, oh, instead of, like, being Tata, I thought it was Toto, because everyone's names are changed, and I was like, Toto! And I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was fun, and I was like, oh my god, Toto, what if they're referencing his pet? That is it. That is all. It is gonna be Sunday by the time this is up, which means that episode 4 will be out. I was thinking about combining these two, but when I posted a poll, 20% of people said that they wanted it separate still, which I know that's technically losing the poll, but I was like, oh, that's still a fair amount of people. And then if it was me, I would just want to be able to, like, read each chapter and then watch and then read. So that's why I've decided to keep it separate this way. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. I'm definitely going to be posting the, like, chapter 4 breakdowns, like, really soon after this video, because it's gonna be out right away. And I'm feeling a lot better. I was sick. I don't know if I've cut that out of the beginning of this video. I was sick, so that's why this is kind of late. That, and there's construction outside every single morning, which is just very loud. All of my social media is linked in the description below. Make sure you follow there, especially on my Twitter. I have a lot of polls and stuff like that. And on our Discord server, there's a lot of discussions going on about all of these things, so hang out there, make some friends. And of course, there's notifications there for any of my videos as well, in case you happen to miss the, like, YouTube notification, because sometimes, you know, if you turn on a bunch of notifications, it's really easy to miss some. And I'm getting back into streaming. Notifications will be there, but also my Twitch is in the description if you want to watch me play video games. And yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to my patrons on Patreon: Rallycar, Alicia S, Lame Game Hero, Savage96er, Amanda Strickland, Jade, Megan Weir, Sharon Hoy, Hypenating, Amberly Smith, Danielle Hoy Hoy Sado, Chris G, Arlene, Aaron M, Tema, Aubrey 0904, Megan Simmons, and Soika. Thank you guys so much for your support. And as it is, thank you guys so much for watching, everyone. I will see you in a couple days. Stay sunny. Bye!